let me remind you to always follow the money. If there's a politician, not a public servant, if there's a politician, there's always money somewhere. Here's the difference. A politician engages in transactional leadership. A public servant engages in transformational leadership. People like Bernie Sanders and AOC, those are some examples of transformational leaders. Individuals like corporate Democrats such as Joe Manchin, well, he's a politician, he engages in transactional leadership. Now remember, we talked about the about face of Joe Manchin. I even had US Senator Jon Ossoff on Indisputable earlier this week talking about the fact that Joe Manchin at one time actually supported For the People Act. He did an about face. So all of these Democrats went on air and said, we do not know why he did an about face. Well, AOC came out and said, oh, damn it, I know exactly why he did an about face. Follow the money. Now we have actual proof. We know that Joe Manchin basically took a payoff. Here's the reality of politics in America. Every politician is for sale. That doesn't mean every politician will sell out, but every politician has a for sale sign on them. I would love it if politicians had to do like NASCAR. Let me explain that. You know how NASCAR lets you know who their sponsors are? It's written on the car. So as they're going around the track, you see who pays for them all over the car. I need politicians to wear suits that says Koch brothers, the Chamber of Commerce. That's what we need. At least I know who paid for your funky ass to represent nobody but corporations. Yes, that is your solution, because then the trickery would at least no longer be trickery. It would be honest, transparent, in your face. And if Trumpites still want to support these individuals, or if corporations don't feel ashamed and embarrassed, have at it. Buy your politician, but at least the American people will be well aware of who they actually represent, not the people who voted them in. Do you not find it strange that 79% of West Virginians actually support the For the People Act? However, Manchin does not. Do you not find it ironic that Manchin is the only Senate Democrat who is not actually co-sponsoring the bill? Do you not find it ironic that 10 years of no donation from a particular company, all of a sudden he gets money from this company? And voila, he has changed his entire political ideology as it relates to a major piece of legislation. Now people are getting caught up in the fact that it does increase voter access. That is a good part of the bill, a great part of the bill. But that's not the only reason why these major companies are telling Joe Manchin, no, don't support this bill. It's also because it restricts dark money. It limits corporate influence. It stops some of the bleeding that's happening in this nation as it relates to dollars deciding who represents us rather than the people. To talk more about this, I have the big homie. We got Wosny Lambre, host, Woke Brothers podcast. Wosny on Twitch, TYT, staff writer for The Athletic, my big homie. Thank you for being with me, man.
First of all, it's an honor to be here, and I gotta say, man, producer Brett did not tell me I was coming to church this afternoon, brother. You up here preaching to him, and I appreciate it. Although I regret to correct you, I'm no longer with The Athletic, although shout to them, I'm at The Ringer now. So, you know, I want, yeah, thank you. Shouts to everybody at The Athletic who I used to work with, love you guys still. But of course we had a new opportunity with The Ringer. But I will say this, everything you said about Joe Manchin and the for sale sign is true. There's no other way to describe this besides quid pro quo. What's in it for me? This guy just got a check, and now he's backing out of a bill that he was once the co-sponsor of, right? And nothing's changed about this except for the fact that these guys have made contributions to your campaign. This is just straight up legalized corruption. There's no other way to put it. And what really grinds my gears more than anything, brother Rashad, is that I remember when Bernie Sanders was running for president and people said, well, he's not a real Democrat. He's not a real Democrat because he doesn't put the D before his name, because he called himself independent. What makes Joe Manchin a real Democrat? This is allegedly part of the big party platform. And this guy's going against all his fellow party members. It's ridiculous.
You know, man, I'm reminded of something even under the Obama administration. And see, I bring truth here. That's why we call it indisputable. But under the Obama administration, if you remember, progressive media outlets that are left-leaning, they did not get invited to the White House press parties. They did not get invited to the media meetings or those special White House invites around holidays. But you know who did get invited? Fox News got invited. You know who did get invited? Bill O'Reilly got invited. Those individuals continue to receive invitation from a Democratic president and a Democratic vice president, a Democratic White House, but they did not extend those invitations to progressives who were on their side as far as being on the left, but would also offer critique when they were out of line or out of step with the agenda of progress in America. And I find it very, very sobering what you just said. Joe Manchin is still considered to be a Democrat. Nobody is questioning Joe Manchin like they question our dear brother Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders was so much of a Democrat. He's what the Democratic Party had the potential to be. He was so much of a Democrat that he was not recognizable to those who were not, no matter what they put in front of their name. Progress should have been the calling card of the left from day one, not negotiation, not bipartisanship. I know I get some letters on that, that's fine. That never was the agenda of the left. It should have never been, we just need to get along. So brother, what is your feeling about dark money in politics?
Obviously, it's unacceptable. I don't know how you have a system that's supposed to be part of the will of the people, and yet the very privileged few who have access to these politicians via their vast amounts of wealth get to have a say in a way that's disproportionate to the population of the country, right? If Joe Manchin is gonna talk about this isn't bipartisan enough, well, what does bipartisan mean? If the Republican Party is supposed to be expressing the will of the people, this bill is extremely popular even amongst Republican voters. So what can be more bipartisan than actually expressing the will of the American people?
Yeah, well said. And the proof that is actually connected to a bipartisan group, the fact that West Virginians, 79%, damn near 80% of them actually support the For the People Act. Let me read something. The chamber, who's behind this whole move with Joe Manchin, the chamber, which has launched an expensive lobbying effort against the bill, resumed donations to Manchin's campaign for the first time since 2012. Here's the other part. The bill aims to tackle corporate influence, dark money, foreign attempts to influence American elections, and voter suppression practices in the wake of the 2020 election cycle, which broke campaign spending records. So these rich cats have come in and said, Joe, you are our last hope in making sure we can still buy elections in the United States of America. And that's the real story behind the story.